أشهد أن محمد رسول الله أشهد أن أمير المؤمنين وإمام المتقين عليا ولي الله أشهد أن أمير المؤمنين وإمام المتقين عليا حجة الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح حي على خير العمل حي على خير العمل الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله لا إله إلا الله
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله الذي كان موجودا قبل حدوث الأشياء ويبقى بعد فناء الأشياء تفرد بالأولية والقدم ووسم كل شيء ما عداه بالفناء والعدم كما قال عز شأنه كل شيء هالك إلا وجهه وكل نفس ذائقة الموت وقال كل من عليها فان ويبقى وجه ربك ذو الجلال والإكرام سبحان من لا يخفى عليه اختلاف النيات ولا يعزم عنه ماس العباد في الخلوات سبحان الله الذي منه خلقة العباد وإليه المعاد فمن يعمل مثقال ذرة خير يره ومن يعمل مثقال ذرة شر يره نشهد أن لا إله إلا هو الملك الذي لا ينازع في ملكه ولا يضاد في حكمه يعذب من يشاء بما يشاء كيف يشاء ويرحم من يشاء بما يشاء كيف يشاء تعذيبه المسيئين عدل وعفوه تفضل ونشهد أن محمدا سيد المرسلين وخير المبشرين والمنذرين صلى الله عليه وآله الهداة المهديين من ركب سفينتهم نجا واهتدى ومن تخلف عنها ضل فغرقا وهوا أوصيكم عباد الله بالاعتصام بالتقوى فإنه حبل متين وعروة وثقى فقد قال الله تبارك وتعالى وقوله الحق وهو أصدق القائلين بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ولا تركنوا إلى الذين ظلموا فتمسكم النار وما لكم من دون الله من أولياء ثم لا تنصرون صدق الله العلي العظيم. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Last Friday of the holy month of Ramadan, as expected that next Friday probably be the day of Eid al-Fitr. Therefore, this is Jumatul Wada and all its importance that is associated with it and mentioned, hence the responsibility of mu'mineen to be able to take part in it in large numbers and to be able to attend it and of course be part of the movement which is associated with this last Friday and the theme of standing up for those who are oppressors around the globe. The ayat that I chose is from Surah Hud, ayat number 113, in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, do not incline towards the wrongdoers, lest the fire should touch you, and you will not have any friend besides Allah, then you will not be helped. Chapter 11, Surah Hud, ayat number 113. Quran, which was revealed in the last days of, or this ayat rather, was revealed in the last days of Prophet's life in the city of Makkatul Mukarramah prior to his departure toward and the migration towards Madinatul Munawwarah. Days in which Prophet had lost two of his greatest supporters in the form of Hazrat Abu Talib alayhi salatu wasalam and Bibi Khadija salamullahi alayha as well. And after these losses, the life of Muslims had become very difficult. It was at that moment the decision was taken to abandon or leave this city for the sake of their own safety and security. Prophet said regarding this surah, so just a little background of it. Prophet said regarding this surah, that Surah Hud made me old, right? Shayyabani made me old, meaning what? I aged quickly when the surah was revealed, especially the ayat of the surah which give this daunting task, fastaqim kama umirt. Be straightforward or straight up, upright rather, about that which we have given you the command to. So for example, the command to the Prophet is given to stand up and explain and to go ahead and propagate this deen. Fastaqim, be steadfast in that, be upright. He said the moment these instructions and the commands were given to me, what happened? It made my burden even more heavier. And it made me grow older overnight. This happens. I've always given this example, and you've heard this example before, that although our fourth Imam, Imam Zainul Abidin alayhi salatu wasalam, was only 23 years old, right, in the Battle of Karbala. And even if by some accounts they came back a year later, right, they stayed entire year in Sham and then came back after a year later, Imam would have been only 24 years old. But the fact that when they come back, Muhammad Hanafiya has difficult time finding Imam and recognizing Imam. He said, what happened? How did you grow so old in 1 year? Or whatever time that you spent. Of course, he's asking a rhetorical question, knows the answer himself. All the difficulties that you've gone through. You lost all your family members. You lost your loved ones. You lost your father. You lost your aunts and all the other family members that you saw, the sacrifices. You saw that with your own eyes, and it made you grow old. So this is what Rasulullah is also saying, that Surah Hud made me old, due to the verse, فَاسْتَقِمْ كَمَا أُمِرْتَ وَمَنْ تَابَ مَعَكَ. So be steadfast, just as you have been commanded, but lack of patience and the steadfastness from his companions and from those who were with him really was the cause of Prophet saying the shayyabani, and this surah has made me old. He himself was steadfast, but those whom he was relying upon, of course relying upon Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but he also needs the community along with him, they were the ones that made Rasulullah to be old. The discussion on hand is to refrain from lending a hand to those who are oppressors, wrongdoers, and a promise of fire from Allah to those who assist oppressors. Ayah says, وَلَا تَرْكَنُوا. وَلَا تَرْكَنُوا. The word rukun or rukun in Arabic literally means to recline upon something. So those of you who are sitting by the wall, you're literally reclining onto the wall. And if the wall was taken away, you would fall, right? If, for example, that was to happen. But you're reclining upon it and you've left all of your weight onto that wall, and you're trusting that the wall will not fall and you will remain steadfast there. This is where it says, وَلَا تَرْكَنُوا. Do not recline and rely and do taqiyya on those who are zalimeen, those who are oppressors. Not assisting them is another thing, but to rely upon them and to overlook their atrocities, that too becomes part of it. And therefore, we see that what are the areas? There's zulm that happens all around. Zulm when it comes to the aqaid of the people, zulm, this doctrinal oppression that happens, corruption in their beliefs and the truth. We see moral oppression that happens, the zulm as far as the akhlaq is concerned. So the example of Hazrat Lut and his community comes into mind. We see the economic oppression, zulm iqtisadi that happens, which is also happening around us as well. That Quran refers to the Prophet Shuaib's society, how they were cheating in trade and exploiting others. And of course, religious and worldly oppression that also takes place. So this is important. This ayat, in other words, is telling us not only avoid oppression, but also avoid any inclination towards those who commit this oppression. So it's not just your duty that you yourself do not color your hands with this oppression, but it's also your duty to do what? To do not assist or lend a hand to any one of these individuals. Therefore, we see that showing love and affection to oppressors and obeying them is amongst the sign of rukun, right? As this ayah says, tarkanu wala tarkanu, is one of the signs of rukun, inclination toward injustice. Narration says, do not have any hope in the unjust ruler, even if he is your family member, even if he's your relative, even if you have blood relations with it, because وَإِنْ كَانَ حَمِيمًا قَرِيبًا, even if he was family or if he was your friend. Obedience to those vested authority. From here we understand that ayat, a lot of people make a mistake, especially other sects in Islam, when they look at the concept of ulul amr, the blunder that they have made when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Atiyullah, Atiyu Rasul, wa ulil amri minkum, that obey Allah and obey the Prophet and those who've been vested authority in you. The concept of that ulul amr becomes very clear. You have to separate zulm and injustice from those who are ulul amr. Do you think Allah is unjust? One of these sifat that is taught is part of the usul deen is what? Adl of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Do you think Prophet is unjust? No, if he is given authority by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he's the peak of justice, right? Amirul Mu'mineen, we talk about him and all these other imams. With that said, ulul amr, when they come to ulul amr, right away they go out and choose any Tom, Dick and Harry, that they are vested with authority, and therefore these are ulul amr of our time. So the president of this country would become your ulul amr if that was the criteria. It says clearly, وَلَا تَرْكُنُوا, do not associate with those who oppress. Allah is not an oppressor. Prophet is not an oppressor. Therefore, that ulul amr that is being mentioned over you, whose authority is wajib, inclination towards oppressor is haram. As this ayat number 113 of Surah Hud says, ulul amr's authority is obligatory upon you. What does that tell you? You put these two together. Ulul amr cannot be a tyrant. Ulul amr cannot be an oppressor. Rather, he should also be an infallible on top of not being an oppressor. That gives you that complete sense of the authority that is being passed down from Allah to the Prophet to these. Amirul Mu'mineen, Imam al-Muttaqeen Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salatu wassalam. In this regard, he said, Kunu lil-zalimi khasman wa lil-mazlumi awna. If you wanted to memorize anything from the kalam of Amirul Mu'mineen, if you wanted to memorize anything from Nahjul Balagha, this would be one of those. Maybe the second one. After the one, which is, number one is which? Number one is where you go ahead and see where Imam says, either you are brothers in faith or equals in humanity. Remember that one? You've heard that a great deal. Number two, right here. Very solid statement. Memorize this. Kunu lizzalimi khasman walil mazlumi awna. Oppose the oppressor and support the oppressed. Simple as that. Regardless of who it is, regardless of where they're from, regardless of what their background is, what their religion is, even if they, as we said, even if it's your relative. Kunu lizzalimi khasma. Khasm here is to oppose them, however it's possible. Inspired by this principle, Rahbar-e-Inqilab Imam Khomeini declared this day to be Quds Day. He emphasized that it is not only about Jerusalem or Palestine, but that's where the call began, but a global call for the oppressed to stand against the arrogant powers of the world. It is a day when oppressed rise with courage, and when the line between sincere believers and the hypocrites become what? Crystal clear. The committed to stand openly for the cause of the oppressed. As you see, today there are a lot of rallies that are happening for that particular cause, not just here, but all over the world. While those tied with the oppressors remain silent or try to prevent the people from speaking out, as there are many who are trying their best to go ahead and silence these voices, to go ahead and quieten them down and hunt them down and oppress them even further. When you stand up, raise your voice for those who are being oppressed, you become a victim of oppression yourself. However, hypocrites who have maintained secret friendship with the arrogant powers will remain impartial or will not allow the public to hold such demonstrations. Where some of these demonstrations are not permitted? In many of the Muslim world, in many of the Muslim countries. These demonstrations are not permitted. Even if it is being said that it's not just about, and even if it was just about Jerusalem, if it was just about Palestinian cause, if we just limit it to that cause, even then, what's wrong with the Muslim countries not to go ahead and openly allow? Why? Because it's not aligning with the interests that they have for their own well-being. So here, from the wasiyat of Amirul Mu'mineen, when he was coming back from Siffin, he gave a wasiyat to his son, Imam Hassan al-Mujtaba alayhi salatu wasalam. He said, وَدَعِ الْقَوْلَ فِي مَا لَا تَعْرَفْ. Of course, these words coming from a father to a son, the son who also is what? Masoom. But nonetheless, this is the pagham of Imam for all of mankind, all of humanity. So don't just limit it to, this is the word from Imam Ali to his son, exclusively for him. No, it's for all of us. He said, وَدَعِ الْقَوْلَ فِي مَا لَا تَعْرِفْ وَالْخِتَابَ فِي مَا لَمْ تُكَلَّفْ وَأَمْسِكْ عَنْ طَرِيقٍ إِذَا خِفْتَ ضَلَالَةً. Do not talk about things which you do not know. Simple as that. Number two, do not speculate about and pass verdicts on subjects about which you are not equipped to do so. You're not in position to form an opinion about it and are not called upon to do so. Therefore, give up the way where there's a possibility of you going into dalalat, into danger. If you see there's danger ahead and there's an alternate route available, you can avoid that. And there's a blockade up front, there's emergency vehicles are going there. Are you going to go in that route? No, you're going to go to another route so that you don't get entangled into the trouble that is already there. So when there's danger on you wandering in the wilderness of ignorance, possibility is what? That you yourself will lose the sight of the goal that is intended. You yourself will be also part of that delusion, and then you will not reach that aim, that attainment of that aim that you had thought of in the beginning. So, advise to do good and live virtuously. Why? This is one of the fundamentals of the religion, fundamentals of any religion. I mean, let's just speak about Islam. Although Islam emphasizes a great deal, but I'm sure all divine faiths emphasize on this particular aspect. That what is it? That live virtuously because you are fit to give such advice. Quran says what? وَأْمُرْ بِالْمَعْرُوفِ وَانْهَا عَنِ الْمُنْكَرِ وَاصْبِرْ عَلَى مَا أَصَابَكَ إِنَّ ذَلِكَ مِنْ عَزْمِ الْأُمُورِ. Surah Luqman, Hazrat Luqman giving this advice to his son. He says what? وَأْمُرْ بِالْمَعْرُوفِ. Command people to do that which is right. Even if there's no change, if you know that they will not listen to you. But nonetheless, in the times, tumultuous times that we are going through, you continue to do that duty of yours to go ahead and what? وَأْمُرْ بِالْمَعْرُوفِ. This وَأْمُرْ بِالْمَعْرُوف is good at any time, but especially in times of difficulty. You know how you're able to change the perspective of the individual. That's what we learn from the lives of Masumin. A person came to many of the Imams, started insulting them, started hurling some slurs at Imam, and expecting that Imam would get agitated and angry and respond in the same way. But when he was faced with beautiful words and helpful words and compassionate words that came from the tongue of Imam, right away changed his mind. Went from being aggressive and shouting and saying bad things, cursing even at times, thinking that he'll be able to get under the skin and get a reaction out of it. Imam changed the entire complexion by saying words of ma'ruf. Qawlud ma'rufun, right? Or sadaqatun. That qawlul ma'ruf is superior sometimes, better than that sadaqah. Why? Because that sadaqah you might reproach, you might remind people. So if you're going to remind people, don't give sadaqah. Just go ahead and give good words. Qawlul ma'ruf is enough. So Imam changed the complexion altogether. Here is the same thing when you come across someone in this, and then there are a lot of people, opinionated people, right? Opinionated on different platforms that exist. And engaging into this Twitter war, for example, as they term it, I don't know, X war now, it's no longer Twitter, that responding back and forth, hurling slurs at one another. Instead, if you were to respond with beautiful words, it is a possibility. Wa'amur bil ma'ruf is not just for others. We think that this command is that we should be just commanding people to do amr bil ma'ruf. No, first go ahead and do this wa'amur bil ma'ruf to yourself. And convert yourself, make yourself to be a better person, a better preacher, a better speaker, better, in righteousness. And then go ahead and do this. Wanhanil munkar, and then tell people to stop going the path of evil. Wasbir ala ma asabaka, and then have sabr upon that which has befallen. In the last 2 weeks, what has befallen, what has happened, have sabr on that. Of course, there's very little beyond sabr that you and I can do at the moment, aside from dua, but sabr on it. Why? Inna dhalika min azmil umur. Indeed, it is one of the most difficult of the affairs. So let your words and deeds teach the world lessons of how to abstain from wickedness and vicious deeds. Try your best to keep away from those who indulge in vices and sins. Salawat Deji Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. One of the greatest crises of today's society is that Islam is being judged and defined by non-professionals. Verdicts about a profound and sacred tradition are issued by those without knowledge. They don't hold appropriate knowledge of it, while the media amplifies distortions. You know how quickly something rash would be said, and media will just amplify it 100 times. And it's all over the news, to the extent that lie almost becomes what? A reality. Remember, 2023, October 7, they're burning babies. You know, that flew so quickly. And it's still being quoted by many people, while refuted right away. But the moment it came out from someone influential, media amplified it, now it's part of history. And people still quote it left and right. And therefore, we see that while media amplifies distortions, sometimes through misinterpretation, representation, and sometimes through the misguided actions of those who claim to represent Islam. There are many who are not true representatives, and representation of Islam should not be in their hands. Islam is universal. It was sent by the Khuda, the God, the Almighty, who is what? Rabbil Alameen. He's not Rabb of Muslimin, Rabb of, for example, Mu'mineen, Rabb of Muttaqeen. He's Rabbul Alameen. The religion was brought by the Prophet who's Rahmatan lil Alameen. It was not just rahmat for a specific group of people from Arabia, or a specific group of people from Persia, or a specific group of people from Americas. No, he's Rahmatan lil Alameen. He's a rahmat and mercy for all of mankind. And Quran invites all of humanity. It says, Ya ayyuhan nas, inna khalaqnakum min dakarin aw untha, wa ja'alnakum shu'uban wa qabaila lita'arafu. O people, Quran did not say, O Muslimin, O Mu'mineen, O Muttaqeen. It says, O people. The meaning addresses to, there's so many ayat in Quran which is, there are specific ayat addressing to Mu'mineen and Muttaqeen. Of course, this is their book, so it'll be addressing them exclusively. But majority of the ayat are very open in this regard, speaking to all of mankind in totality. It says what? Ya ayyuhan nas, inna khalaqnakum min dhakarin wa untha. We created you from a male and a female. That male and female is Hazrat Adam and Hazrat Hawwa. وَجَعَلْنَاكُمْ شُعُوبًا وَقَبَائِلًا. And then we made you into what? Different tribes and different clans. لِتَعَارَفُوا. So that you may understand one another. This difference is primarily there for you to understand one another. Not to go ahead and make this to be the cause of superiority. I'm better than them because my color of skin is this way. I'm better than them because my ancestry goes back to this. I'm better than this difference between Arab and Ajam and Arab and black and white and all of these. This is something which Islam is cancelling with this one ayat of Surah Hujurat. The message of Islam, therefore, transcends race, language, and geography. In the same way, the message of Battle of Karbala is, when you look and study Karbala, Karbala is universal. The stand of Imam Hussein speaks to the conscience of all humanity, not just the people of that time who were, for example, subscribers of the religion of Islam in the distorted way. And therefore, which is why even many non-Muslims throughout the history have recognized and praised Imam's sacrifice and the timeless principle it represents. It's always going to be there. So we find diversity in the society we live in right here. The beauty of this society is also diversity. You know, I'm not even talking about Franklin Township. Even within this Franklin Township that we are in right now, such diversity. And we've got 60 houses of worship over here. I'm part of the clergy council. We got 60 houses of worship. And, you know, all these churches that you have, all these Hindu centers that you have, all these synagogues you have, all these, other houses of worship that you got. And then people are diverse. That's the beauty. And then this one town can even reflect on the entire state. The one state can also reflect on the entire American society. How diversity is there in the fabric of this society. So therefore we see diversity in our universities, In our colleges, in our schools, children who attend schools, those who go to the colleges, even at your workplace, you see that diversity that exists. This is also an institution where the message right here is the message of humanity and the message of Hussainiyat is taught. Look at the Battle of Karbala. We see young, old, black, white, Arab, Ajam, all present over there. Albeit 72 or maximum 130. But you got an example of all of these that are present under the banner of Imam Hussain ﷺ and under the banner of standing up against tyranny. So the swords of enemy didn't see the color of their skin. All they saw that they were all followers of Sayyid al-Shuhada, Imam Hussain ibn Ali alayhi salatu wassalam. As we mentioned, this is the last Friday of the holy month of Ramadan. Bidding farewell is the right of someone who was friendly towards this month, right? If someone did not even know when the month began and when the month was over, as we sometimes utter in our expressions, kahan gaya mahina, guzar gaya, where we didn't even, it just went away. We started and then we had the Wiladat of our second Imam, and then we had the Shahadat Majalis, we had Laylatul Qadr, and we're done. And of course, we had Shab-e-Qadr last night, and the following day after Shab-e-Qadr is the syndrome, which I like to call where people then go into that hiding and then they come back on Eid again. So after the fall in the graph, after Laylatul Qadr, that goes up all the way up, kind of like the oil prices are happening right now. Humans say goodbye to friends and family. They bid farewell. Someone had come and stayed with you for a week or two, for a month. If they came from, for example, another town over, okay, not that big a deal. They came from another state, no, it's still not big a deal. But they came from overseas, they stayed with you for a month, And it's your family, it's your brothers, your sisters, your family, it's your mom, it's your dad, for example, if they live in Pakistan, if they live in India, if they live in Iran or Iraq, whatever. And they're coming and visiting you. When you're bidding farewell and you lived with them for a few weeks, now you've gotten used to them. And bidding farewell does what? It usually brings emotions out of you, right? You start, you might show some emotions and you might shed a tear or two. That is something. Why? Because you're feeling the pain of them now being separated from you. Although you lived without them for all these years, but they visited you for a few days, a few weeks, now you've gotten used to them. Manus. That's what happens with the month of Ramadan. Only those who got close to this month will be bidding farewell to it, and they deserve to bid farewell to it. Otherwise, someone who didn't realize when Shahr Ramadan came, when it ended, and why it came, doesn't deserve bidding farewell. Sixth Imam, Imam Ja'far as-Sadiq used to make the following dua. He used to make this dua on the last 10 nights or the 10 days of Ramadan. Allahumma addi anna haqqa ma mada min shahr Ramadan. Oh Allah, take from me whatever passed in the month of Ramadan and forgive my mistakes in it and render it accepted, and do not punish us for our extravagance on our souls. Make us among those who are shown your mercy and not amongst those who are deprived of your mercy. That is the dua that should be on our tongues after our prayers. And then I'll conclude that, oh Allah, in these powerful nights that just passed us, grant relief to the oppressed. Restrain the hands of the oppressors. Lift the trials from humanity. Do not allow us to incline toward injustice. Make us among those who stand up for truth. Unite the hearts of the believers. Extinguish the fires of war and bring lasting peace and justice to the world. We ask that this is only possible when the zuhur of our awaited Imam takes place. Inna asl hadith wa ablagh al-mu'idha kitabullahi a'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim bismillahir rahmanir rahim wal asr innal insana lafi khusr illa alladhina amanu wa amilus salihat wa tawasaw bil haqqi wa tawasaw bis sabr. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله الذي لا إله إلا هو الحليم الكريم غافر الذنب وقابل التوب وهو الغفور الرحيم سبحان من سبقت رحمته وغضبه وبسط اليدين بالرحمة سبحان من لم يكلف نفسا إلا دون وسعها وعفى عن السيئات ولم يجاز بها سبحان من لا يزداد ولا معصي لعباد الله كرما وجودا ولا كثرة الذنوب إلا فهو صفا نشهد أن لا إله إلا هو اللطيف العباد بجوده والعباد المذنبين بحلمه ونشهد أن محمدا نبيه وحبيبه سيد المرسلين وشفيع المذنبين بعثه رحمة للعالمين ألا قد أمركم الله في محكم كتابه بالصلاة على نبيه وحبيبه فقال تعليما لكم وتشريفا لصفيه إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. Before I conclude the remaining part of the second khutbah in Arabic, just a plea and looking at the events that are happening or have been happening around us, and we are coming toward the end of this month. While this is the time for joyful occasion of Eid and celebrations and all that stuff, but this year's Eid is marred with these difficult events that are unfolding in front of us. And therefore, it is a request, a humble request to all of us that while we are coming towards the end of the month of Ramadan and it's the time for celebrations to celebrate Eid, yes, you should definitely perform Salatul Eid. You should definitely take out the fitrah, which is obligatory upon us. But consider this Eid to be an Eid which is, of course, in the shadow of the events that are happening, so not an overexcited and overjoyous, While, I can give an example. A lot of time in our cultures, when someone loses a loved one, someone passes away in your family, that first Eid, usually people come and pay respects to you. They don't expect you to be in the celebratory, fashion, coming and, hosting parties and all that stuff. So this year, if that could be done, if you can tone it down a little bit in difficult times that we're going through, inshallah, it'll be in line with our principles. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. اللهم صل على سيد المرسلين وشفيع المذنبين نبينا محمد صلى الله عليه وآله وعلى إمام المسلمين وقائد الغر المحجلين أمير المؤمنين علي بن أبي طالب صلوات الله عليه وسلام الله وسيد النساء العالمين وبذة خاتم النبيين سيدة فاطمة بنت رسول الله صلوات الله عليها وعلى حسن بن مجتبى وعلي بن الحسين الشهيد بكربلاء وعلي بن الحسين ومحمد بن علي وجعفر بن محمد وموسى بن جعفر وعلي بن موسى ومحمد بن علي وعلي بن محمد والحسن بن علي عليهم الصلاة والسلام. اللهم صل على مولانا صاحب الزمان ما آثار البدع والطغيان هادم أبنية الشرك والنفاق حاسد الفروغ بين والشقاق وصلوات الله وسلامه عليه وعلى آبائه الكرام اتصلت الليالي والأيام. اللهم أجل فرجا وسهل مخرجا واكحل ناظرنا بنظرة منا إليه واجعلنا من المستشهدين بين يدي وتفضل على أمراء المؤمنين بمزيد التوفيقات وازدياد الإقبال وعلو الدرجات. اللهم افعل بنا ما أنت أهله ولا تفعل بنا ما نحن أهله بجاه محمد وآله المعصومين صلوات الله عليهم أجمعين. اللهم اجعلنا ممن يذكر فتنفعه الذكر إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون. الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن عليا ولي الله أشهد أن عليا حجة الله. حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح حي على خير العمل حي على خير العمل قد قامت الصلاة قد قامت الصلاة. الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله. الله أكبر. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. بسم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم يسبح لله ما في السماوات وما في الأرض الملك القدوس العزيز الحكيم هو الذي بعث في الأميين رسولا منهم يتلو عليهم آياته ويزكيهم ويعلمهم الكتاب والحكمة وإن كانوا من قبل لفي ضلال مبين وآخرين منهم لما يلحقوا بهم وهو العزيز الحكيم ذلك فضل الله يؤتيه من يشاء والله ذو الفضل العظيم مثل الذين حملوا التوراة ثم لم يحملوها كمثل الحمار يحمل أسفارا بئس مثل القوم الذين كذبوا بآيات الله والله لا يهدي القوم الظالمين قل يا أيها الذين هادوا إن زعمتم أنكم أولياء لله من دون الناس فتمنوا الموت إن كنتم صادقين ولا يتمنونه أبدا بما قدمت أيديهم والله عليم بالظالمين قل إن الموت الذي تفرون منه فإنه ملاقيكم ثم تردون إلى عالم الغيب والشهادة فينبئكم بما كنتم تعملون يا أيها الذين آمنوا إذا نودي للصلاة من يوم الجمعة فاسعوا إلى ذكر الله وذروا البيع ذلكم خير لكم إن كنتم تعلمون فإذا قضيت الصلاة فانتشروا في الأرض وابتغوا من فضل الله واذكروا الله كثيرا لعلكم تفلحون وإذا رأوا تجارة أو لهوا انفضوا إليها وتركوك قائمة قل ما عند الله خير من اللهو ومن التجارة والله خير الرازقين الله أكبر اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد ربنا اغفر لي ولوالدي وللمؤمنين يوم يقوم الحساب اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد الله أكبر سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي العظيم وبحمده رب صل على محمد وآل محمد سمع الله لمن حمده الله أكبر سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده رب صل على محمد وآل محمد الله أكبر أستغفر الله ربي وأتوب إليه الله أكبر سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده رب صل على محمد وآل محمد الله أكبر بحول الله وقوته أقوم وأقعد بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد الله أكبر سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي العظيم وبحمد رب صل على محمد وآل محمد سمع الله لمن حمد الله أكبر ربنا أفرغ علينا الصبر وثبت أقدامنا وانصرنا على القوم الكافرين بجاه محمد وآله الطاهرين الله أكبر سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده رب صل على محمد وآل محمد الله أكبر أستغفر الله ربي وأتوب إليه الله أكبر Subhanallah, 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 Subhan Rabbi al-Ala wa bihamdih. Ya Latif, irham abdaka al-da'if. الله أكبر الحمد لله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد السلام عليك أيها النبي ورحمة الله وبركاته السلام علينا وعلى عباد الله الصالحين السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد تسبيح فاطمة الزهراء سلام الله عليها بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم أستغفر الله الذي لا إله إلا هو الحي القيوم الرحمن الرحيم ذو الجلال والإكرام وأتوب إليه. All together. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم اللهم كل وليك الحجة ابن الحسن صلواتك عليه وعلى آبائه في هذه الساعة وفي كل ساعة وليا وحافظا وقائدا وناصرا ودليلا وعينا حتى تسكنه أرزك طوعا وتمتعه فيها طويلا برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Jummah Mubarak to you all. Let us recite Surah Fatiha for Jameel Mu'mineen, Mu'minat, Muslimin, Muslimat in all across the globe, wherever they may be, especially in our local community as well. Surah Fatiha. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. صراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. الرحمن الرحيم قل هو الله أحد الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد صلى الله عليه محمد. Inshallah, just a couple of announcements as we go through the last week of the Shahr Ramadan. Inshallah, the I'tikaf started this morning, and congratulations to Mu'mineen who are taking part in this. This will conclude on Sunday night at around Maghrib time. And of course, this is a sa'adat that is being given to those who are, mashallah, taking part in this. Annual Interfaith Iftar is scheduled for this coming Monday, March 16th, which will be 26th of Ramadan. The program will start at, will be slightly different than the way we start with the recitation of Quran and go through with that. 6 p.m. inshallah will reception, 6:15 welcome and the Quran recitation. 6:30 there will be speeches given by some of the guest speakers from other various faiths that we have invited, as we do in the past, so you've been accustomed to it in the past, and as well as some other elected officials from our township will be in presence as well. We will conclude with the recognition and the closing remarks, followed by prayer and iftar. So, encourage that you bring your colleagues, your neighbors, non-Muslim colleagues and neighbors to, bring them to masjid so that they get first-hand experience being with Muslims in their surrounding and all the negativity that is out there about Muslims and how barbaric they are, how difficult they are, and they don't belong in this society. All that, you can dispel some of those, misconceptions by just bringing them together and breaking, inshallah, bread together. So that'll be this coming Monday, March 16th. Mark your calendars. Next Friday will be Eid al-Fitr, as the moon sighting data suggests. Thursday, it's very easy to see the moon, and Friday will be the day of Eid. That's why this Friday becomes that Jummatul Wida. Before I move...
Brothers and sisters, just on Monday, when you come in, please come on time, because the officials, Attorney General, the police department, sheriff, and everybody's coming. Guests are coming. They're going to be here at 6. It will not look nice if they're only there and nobody from our community coming until around 7 o'clock. So please come at 6 o'clock, be here, and also just remember that you wanted to make sure that you talk to them, they introduce yourself, and there is a possibility that Lieutenant Governor also will come, inshallah. But in any case, so we really appreciate it if you come on time so they can see that we are a large community, not just waiting at 7 o'clock, which they may not see us.
Just to reiterate Dr. Kharazi's words for the online audiences as well, that inshallah, the program which is scheduled for 6 o'clock, that should not mean that you show up at Salat al-Maghrib, right? As many people skip past the group Quran recitation and they come just for Maghrib. That day, just make an effort to come on time, so that when you're here and when our guests, non-Muslim guests, are coming, they don't see the halls all empty, and so at least they see that there's people already sitting over here. And it'll just give a better. And also in 2 weeks' time, there will be commemoration for the destruction of Jannatul Baqi, the burial grounds for the 4 of our holy imams, as well as other personalities. A protest will take place on Friday, March 27th in Washington D.C. A bus has been arranged from Astan Zara as well as Betul Qaim, and then they'll take you to the place where the protest, inshallah, will be taking place in Washington, D.C. Again, you can reach out to Brother Muhammad Mehdi and as well as Brother Humayun Lari and Sister Syed, I believe Sister Tahira, caters for that. So reach out, and if you're interested in going, and if you can, take a day off from your work on Friday. It's a good cause, of course. we've been raising this voice for the past, now a century, ever since these graves were, of course, raised to the ground. So these are all important events, especially in the time that we are going through. We got to make sure that we are politically and religiously standing on the right side of history and the right side of justice, and not on the other side. With that, let's recite Dua Sihat, this ayah Karima 5 times for all the people who are in need of dua, suffering, struggling, going through difficult time, all those who are injured in these recent attacks, as well as displaced people from Gaza and other parts of the world. Let's recite ayah Karima 5 times, especially recognizing our local individuals, our people, community members such as Brother Syed Haider and others. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Amma yujibu al-mustarra idha da'ahu wa yakshifu as-su'. أما يجيب المضطر إذا دعاه ويكشف السوء 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 ويجعلكم خلفاء الأرض إله مع الله قليلا ما تذكرون. Let's proceed to Salatul Asr. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, Ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah, Ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah, Ashhadu anna Aliyan Waliyullah, Ashhadu anna Aliyan Hujjatullah, Hayya as-salati, hayya as-salah, hayya al-falah, hayya al-falah, hayya ala khayril amal, hayya ala khayril amal, qad qamatis salatu, qad qamatis salah. Allahu Akbar, la ilaha illallah. Please silence your phones, inshallah. Allahu Akbar. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Allahu Akbar. Subhanallah, 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 Subhana Rabbiyal Azim wa bihamdih. Sami Allahu liman hamid, Allahu Akbar. Subhanallah, 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 Subhana Rabbiyal A'la wa bihamdih. Allahu Akbar, astaghfirullah Rabbi wa atubu ilayh. Allahu Akbar. Subhanallah, 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 Subhana Rabbiyal A'la wa bihamdih. Allahu Akbar, bihawlillahi wa quwwatihi yaqumu wa aqud. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Allahu Akbar, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Rabbi awza'ni an ashkura ni'mataka allati an'amta alayya wa ala walidayya wa na'amala salihan tarda. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Allahu Akbar. Subhanallah, 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 Subhana Rabbiyal Azim wa bihamdih. Sami Allahu liman hamidah. Allahu Akbar. Subhanallah, 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 Subhana Rabbiyal A'la wa bihamdih. Allahu Akbar, astaghfirullah Rabbi wa atubu ilayh. Allahu Akbar. Subhanallah, 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 Subhana Rabbiyal A'la wa bihamdih. Allahu Akbar, alhamdulillah, ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wahdahu la sharika lah, wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluh. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad. Bihawlillahi wa quwwatihi yaqumu wa aqud. الله أكبر. سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي العظيم وبحمده. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده. الله أكبر. استغفر الله ربي وأتوب إليه. الله أكبر. سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده. الله أكبر. بحول الله وقوته يقوم وأقعد. الله أكبر. سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي العظيم وبحمده. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده. الله أكبر. استغفر الله ربي وأتوب إليه. الله أكبر. سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده. يا لطيف ارحم عبدك الضعيف. الله أكبر. الحمد لله. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. السلام عليك أيها النبي ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام علينا وعلى عباد الله الصالحين. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر.
إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. تسبيح فاطمة الزهراء سلام الله عليها. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. يا علي يا عظيم يا غفور يا رحيم. أنت رب العظيم الذي ليس كمثله شيء وهو السميع البصير. وهذا شهر نظمته وكرمته وشرفته وفضلته على الشهور. وهو شهر الذي فرضت صيامه عليه. وهو شهر رمضان الذي أنزلت فيه القرآن هدى للناس وبينات من الهدى والفرقان. وجعلت فيه ليلة القدر وجعلت خيرا من ألف شهر. في هذا المن ولا يمن عليك من علي بفكاك ركبتي من النار. في من تمن علي وادخل للجنة برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم.
May Allah ease the difficulties of our brother Muslims. May Allah punish the oppressor and the oppressed. Today we'll start Ziyaratul Mawla Mushkil Kisha Amir al-Mu'mineen. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Assalamu alaikum ya Nabi Allah. Assalamu alaikum Sayyid al-Alameen. Assalamu ala Maulana Amir al-Mu'mineen Ali ibn Talibin, Sahib Sawabik. والمناقب ونضجد والمدويد الكتاب الشديد الباعث للرزين على ميراث المؤمنين ساك المؤمنين بالقاسم من حوض رسول المكين الأمين السلام على صاحب النوى والفضل والطوائل والمكرومات والنوال السلام على فاصل المؤمنين والأحس محيطين وقاتل المشركين وسير بالعالمين ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام على أمير المؤمنين ويسوب الدين وقائد الغر المحجرين. السلام عليك يا باب الله يا عين الله ونعمة الدوامك. السلام على قسيم الجنة والنار. السلام على نعمة الفجار ونعمة الفجار. السلام على سيد المتقين الخيار. السلام على عقيد رسول الله وابن أمي وزوجه ابنتي وما المخلوق من دينتي. السلام على أصل القديم والفر الكريم وسمر الجي. السلام على أبي الحسن العليل. السلام على شجرة التوبة وسدرة المنتهى. السلام على أمير المؤمنين ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام عليك يا أهل بيت النبوة جميعا ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام عليك صاحب العصر والزمان يا خليفة الرحمن يا كعبة الإيمان تفسير القرآن شريك القرآن. السلام عليك إمام زماننا أجل الله فرجك وسهل له مهرجك وسرورك ورحمة الله وبركاته.